My name's Scott Newman, Associate Editor of Motor, and if you're wondering where our usual host, Dan Gardner, is, well, we sacked him. Sorry you have to find out like this, Dan, but it's not us, it's you. Just kidding, Dan's on assignment, so I'm attempting to fill his massive shoes, and with me today is Wheel staff journalist Cameron Kirby.
G'day.
And making his Whichcar Weekly debut, Motor Editor Dylan Campbell.
Hello, yes, be nice, please.
Oh, we'll be gentle. This week, it's all about muscle. Now, let's move on to the Ford Falcon Holy Grail. Why are we talking about a Ford Falcon? There's been a lot of Ford Falcon news in the last couple of days when the embargo lifted, and everyone's going, why are you talking about a car that went out of production in 2016? So I'm going to take the lead on this because I was lucky enough to drive it. So the Holy Grail is an upgraded package by a mob called Premcar. Premcar came out of ProDrive, which handled a lot of the engineering work on the FPV Falcons. And they developed the Miami Supercharged V8 for Ford. So these guys know the car inside and out. They know all the engineering work. They know all the ones and zeros. And now with the Falcon having been passed for like a few years now, they decided to develop their ultimate version. So they've developed this engine kit called the Holy Grail, which develops 483 kilowatts and 753 newton meters, ups the rev limit, and thankfully they've also put a chassis package under it, which is new locally developed dampers. It's got Cup 2 tyres. It's pretty cool. So, Dylan, as a diehard Ford fan from back in the day, you know, your dad had fast Fords, you're a bit of a Ford man. What was your response when you first read about the Holy Grail, and what did you want to know about it?
It was bad for my imagination. 'Cause the first thing I thought was, it's the GTHO!
Oh my God, it's the GTHO, it's back!
It lives! That was my first thought is, oh my God, Ford could have taken this engine and put it in a Falcon, put like this handling pack on it with the different rear control blades, wider rear tyres, and redid the front and rear bars, slapped the GTHO badge on it. I know there's an interesting story behind the GTHO badge, and somebody owns the trademark for it basically, so they can't be used by Ford. Anyway, but if they could, it would have been absolutely amazing. Ford's own W1, possibly Beta.
Yeah,
might I say a little bit antagonistically.
Oh, well, yes.
That was cheeky of you there.
I don't mean to ruin it. I don't mean to pour cold water on it, but having driven them both, it's not a W1 Beta, but it is a very, very, very good Falcon. It is better than any Falcon you've ever driven. It's the suspension and the cup tyres under it give it a stable platform. Like the steering's still a bit woolly because you can't change that. It's inherent in the Falcon platform, but you can push harder than you've ever been able to because you've got proper tyre grip under you and good body control, and it's got these really sexy billet aluminium, aircraft grade aluminium control blades in the rear, which allow wider tyres. It's got 295mm wide tyres in it, and Cup 2 tyres are usually found on things like GT3 RS, 488 Pista. So it's serious rubber under it. And to be honest, the chassis upgrades are pretty much as impressive as the power upgrades, because to drive it kind of feels like an XR8 Sprint, because that's the big thing I think we need to stress. So many commenters out there have been, what's the point? Like I can go, because it's an expensive package, it's about 25 grand for the engine, another 15 for the chassis and 5 for the exhaust. It's big money. But, and so people go, I can go and get 500 kilowatts out of a Miami for, $4 grand. The thing is, this car has been tested to OEM standards. It's gone through a full validation, durability validation, and it's all completely ADR approved. This whole car is completely legal in every state in Australia. Turnkey, it's as it should be. Even stuff like the engine calibration. Yes, you can fiddle with the engine calibration to get more power, but these guys have done it with all the full safety systems in place. Like it's still got driveline protection in it. It's still got all those modes that make sure it doesn't run hot or anything like that. So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing, and it's weird because when you first drive it, it's like, it kind of feels like a normal car because it's so refined. It doesn't chug or like, limp or anything like that. It's so smooth and everything. But then when you eventually get into it, you're like, holy moly, this thing is so fast. It just hauls and hauls and hauls. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. Hopefully, other people in this room will get to drive it at some stage because it is kind of the GTHO that could have been.
I'm very excited about it, and I'm so glad that it came out and it happened with these guys behind it, because while there was the XR8 and XR6 sprints at the end of the Falcon's life, the Falcon didn't get that big angry farewell that the Commodore got in the W1. That is such a roaring dinosaur. That is such a great tribute to the Commodore, whereas I'm so glad that the Falcon finally gets that treatment with the Holy Grail. This is a mega car, and I'm very jealous that you got to spend some time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the guys that did the sprint packages did a lot with what they had, but by that stage it was a car that had only, 18 months, 12 months to live, so there just wasn't the investment there, whereas these guys, the Miami engine was always, and that's, to provide a bit of background, why didn't they do a GDHO? Well, the Miami engine was always developed with this headroom in mind. It could always make this power, but there wasn't the investment in the Falcon chassis to really cope with that engine. So there was no point. They could have put the engine in it, but there wasn't the development budget to make the rest of the car catch up. So, but it's great because a lot of the people, not just Premcar, but the guy that did the suspension used to be a chassis engineer for FPV. He did a lot of their damper tuning. John Bow was the development driver. Again, did a lot of work for FPV and Tickford back in the day. So these guys really know what they're doing. They're only trying to sell 100. They know that it's a niche product. They probably will sell 100. One of the first customers was Tony Lockett, the AFL legend, Plugger Lockett. So he was there at the launch, getting a few passenger rides and stuff. So yeah, it's a great for all of us in media land that want these Aussie stories, and we thought maybe the taps were turned off with stuff like the ZL1 and the Holy Grail. Dylan, you're a motor editor. It's great that we still have these stories to tell.
Oh yeah, it felt so odd putting a Ford Falcon back on the cover of Motor Magazine. Felt like we were back in 2012 again.
I know. I felt like from driving, it was weird. It's like, is this 2014? It's like that meme from Robin Williams. What year is it?
Yeah, we were handing out magazines to people the other day and being like, no, this is the new issue.
That's
Relax,
right.
okay?
It's not a retro issue.
Yeah, we haven't gone back in time.
That's right.